Hi guys, so here I'm taking you to the shop where I'm buying some knotty alder for a desktop project. I like to buy my wood rough sawn because two reasons. There's more options at the shop I go to, but it's also cheaper. And so here I'm using the jointer to joint one face and a perpendicular edge. And when that's done, I'm moving on to the planer. And what I'm doing is I'm taking shallow passes until all board are perfectly plane to the same thicknesses. So it takes some time, but it's an important process so that you won't have as much to remove at the time of sanding. I can then move on to the table saw, and here I am just ripping an edge on each board, and I'm trying to maximize the width of my board so that I'm having the widest desktop as possible. Next, back at my place, I am placing the boards down and I am marking where I will be placing the dowels. So you want to be taking your time on this step because it's a crucial point, as if your dowels are not aligned, you won't have a perfect glue up. I bought this doweling jig from DSM and it's been really great. I've been able to use it for my glue ups, and not that it's the most necessary to place dowels for a tabletop glue up. It's more for alignment. That way my boards are all aligned the same way and I really don't have much to remove at the time of sanding. I am now ready for my glue up, but I'm doing a dry fit with the dowels first, just making sure that they're all placed at the right position. And as you can see, it's perfect. I forgot to record my glue up, but the desktop turned out to be pretty seamless. So that's what you want. You don't want to have to sand too much at the end because your boards are uneven. So I had a crack here, and to prevent it from expanding, I placed a bow tie made from walnut. And as you can see here, all I'm doing is I'm cutting it and I'm placing where I want the bow tie to be, and I start removing as much of the material as possible using my router. And when I am done, I can actually finish using chisels. So pro tip here, if you're using chisels, don't use the chisel that you stole from your mother-in-law because they're typically not the greatest. You want your bow tie to have just the right fit, so yeah, it needs to be snug and not too loose. And once you reach that point, it is ready for glue up and you can hammer it in place. Next up, I'm applying some cere glue to some problematic areas, and I am spraying with the accelerator, and once that is done, it's ready for sanding. So the good part with the CA glue is that you don't have to wait a few hours like you would for the epoxy. You can sand right after applying it. I cut my table to length using my track saw. I can then use a 1/4 inch bit to round the edges of the table using my router. So I go all around it and make sure that I'm not missing any spots. And finally, it is time for sanding. So my sanding sequence is 80 grit, 120, 180, 220, and I stop here. You could go to 320, but it's not necessary. And at this point, I am ready to apply the finish on the tabletop. My finish of choice is Rubio Monocoat. So it's a 2-part hard wax oil that you apply, mixing with a hardener, and you buffing it on the table. Once it's buffed in, it takes about 24 hours to fully cure, and your table is then water resistant for up to 5 hours. What I really enjoy about this finish is the ease of use, because it only takes one coat, but also that it brings up the natural color of the wood. The last step in the process is to install the adjustable metal base. So I picked this one up from Amazon for about $130, and if you include the wood, the whole project totaled slightly above $200. And here it is, the desk is complete. It took me slightly less than a day to build, and it's really made my life so much easier now that I'm working more and more from home.